Today we're going to talk about the roots of the Enlightenment. The Enlightenment lasted from about 1650 through 1800, and it was inspired partially by the Renaissance and the Scientific Revolution. What was the Enlightenment exactly? Well, it really was about an attitude and method of thought. It was a time when reason was used to find out about the truths of human beings. Let's look at some key vocabulary. The Enlightenment is a period during the 1600s and 1700s in which educated Europeans changed their outlook on life by seeing reason as the key to human progress and using reason to untangle complicated human, social, and political dilemmas. The Enlightenment was also called the Age of Reason. Another key term is salons. In France, a simple meeting of philosophers to discuss ideas during the Enlightenment were held in salons. And a philosopher is simply a scholar or thinker, also called a philosophe. Reason is just using logical thinking, not superstition or emotion. So, as we have previously stated, the roots of Enlightenment were partially from the Renaissance and its focus on humanism, the importance of the individual, and was also sort of a rediscovery of classical teaching. The Enlightenment grew out of the Renaissance, Reformation, and Scientific Revolution. Now, what is similar to all of these movements is that the Enlightenment challenged accepted beliefs. So that's the similarity. But there's a difference as well. Enlightenment philosophers wanted to use the ideas and the reason of the scientific revolution, with even the scientific method, for problems in governments and society. So they wanted to reason through these issues. And they thought that that you could do so with an application of reason, a method. That was new for the time. A Frenchman, Bernard de Fontenelle, expressed his optimistic faith in reason and progress. In 1702, he wrote that the new century will become more enlightened day by day, so that all previous centuries will be lost in darkness by comparison. Now in France, thinkers called philosophes championed the idea of reason and government, and they gathered in informal meetings and salons, and they exchanged and debated for hours. This is kind of a new thing. Many of the salons were actually organized by women, and these gatherings helped to shape and spread the ideas of the Enlightenment. Now, many of our own ideas about government, such as the Declaration of Independence and the American Constitution, got their ideas directly from the Enlightenment. In fact, many of America's founding fathers studied the ideas of the Enlightenment during the American Revolution. So what was the strongest influence on the Enlightenment? The Renaissance, Reformation, and Scientific Revolution all contributed with new ways of thinking and looking at things. But how did the Enlightenment affect common citizens? Enlightenment thinkers criticized accepted ideas about government. Some questioned the medieval belief in the divine right of kings, the idea that God chose a country's king and that the king got his authority from God. Many Enlightenment thinkers stressed individual rights that governments must respect, and this is a new assertion. Enlightenment thinkers also felt that people should have a say in their government. also a new and emerging belief. Natural rights for people. Enlightenment thinkers believe that basic... Today we're going to talk about the roots of the Enlightenment. The Enlightenment lasted from 1650 to 1800, roughly. And it was a time when reason was used to uncover the truths about human beings, society, and government. It was an attitude and a method of thinking. It was actually the application of method to the thinking process. Some of the key vocabulary is the Enlightenment, obviously, a period in which educated Europeans changed their outlook on life by saying reason is the key to human progress. So before there were other things that people stressed more. Now they're looking at reason as the key to human progress. That maybe applying reason in a method, we can untangle some of the challenges of society and government. The Age of Reason is another name for the Enlightenment. And in France, salons were held, which were a simple meeting of philosophers to discuss ideas during the Enlightenment. And reason simply stressed using logical thinking and not superstition. Roots of the Enlightenment. The Renaissance. Humanism, the importance of the individual, and rediscovery of classical teaching all played a role eventually in the emergence of the Enlightenment period. The Enlightenment really grew out of the Renaissance, Reformation, and the Scientific Revolution. Similar to these earlier movements, much Enlightenment thinking challenged accepted beliefs. What's new about the Enlightenment that sets it apart from these other movements is that the philosophers wanted to use the ideas and reason of the scientific revolution for problems in government and society. They wanted to almost take a scientific approach to solving human problems. The Frenchman, Bernard de Fontenelle, expressed this optimistic faith in reason and progress. In 1702, he wrote that the new century will become more enlightened day by day, so that all previous centuries will be lost in the darkness by comparison. In France, thinkers called philosophes championed the idea of reason and government. They often gathered in informal meetings called salons, and they exchanged and debated ideas for hours. And interestingly, many of these salons were organized by women, and they helped to shape and spread the ideas of the Enlightenment. It's important to study this period because many of our own ideas about government, such as the Declaration of Independence and the American Constitution, got their ideas directly from the Enlightenment. In fact, many of America's founding fathers studied the ideas of the Enlightenment thinkers during the American Revolution. So let's just recap. The Renaissance, Reformation, and Scientific Revolution all contributed with new ways of thinking and looking at things. And this inspired the Enlightenment in some part. And that the Enlightenment also affected common citizens, with this emphasis on finding new ways to solve human problems. Now, let's look at the Enlightenment and government. Enlightenment thinkers criticized accepted ideas about the government. Some questioned the medieval belief in the divine right of kings. Many Enlightenment thinkers stressed individual rights that governments must respect. And Enlightenment thinkers also felt that people should have a say in their government. And this is a sentiment that would become stronger in the revolutionary periods. Enlightenment thinkers believe that human beings are born with fundamental basic rights. These natural rights included the right to life, liberty, property, and the freedom to find happiness. In order for people to enjoy these natural rights, other rights need to be protected. And Enlightenment thinkers thought it was crucial that people had the right to express themselves, to move around freely, and to petition the government. Enlightenment thinkers believed humans were capable of discovering truth for themselves. Now, many of them believed in an all-powerful deity or God, but not in the specific church or holy book, and some called themselves deists. Right and wrong should be based on rational insight. That was the perspective of many Enlightenment thinkers. And we will learn more about the Enlightenment as we progress through this unit.